Welcome to Aquarian Diary, where we discuss issues around the emerging age of Aquarius. I'm your host, John Irving. Thank you for joining me. Greetings all. It is October 28th, 2022. Although most of this was recorded about a week prior to being published. I have expressed clear cognizance, and various psychics over the years have told me that I was claircognizant, which means that I just know things. I don't know how necessarily, sometimes I just know things, but I just do, and it has been proven over and over. And my claircognizance is fairly far forward, like I can know things many years ahead, in general terms, about specific issues. And one thing I've always had a knowing about was that at some point in the future, we would begin to understand or become aware of how the chemicals we have been using in products and polluting the environment with have much more serious implications than we have realized. It's just something I've known for a very long time. And for whatever reason, it has been on my mind a lot in the past few weeks to just record something about that and put it out there. Now, some people in the environmental community and even in the scientific community have expressed concerns about this over the years. In fact, there was just a recent article in The Guardian about it. I'll put a link to that in the description. One of the concerns is that although organizations like the EPA have studied some chemicals independently, there has never really been any significant level of research into what happens when we combine various chemicals. And there are literally thousands of them in use all the time. And so the possible combinations are enormous. You know, what happens when we combine chemical A with chemical B? Or A, B, C, D? Nobody knows. And I have always just intuitively favored, for example, structures or buildings or homes that are older, preferably built before the Second World War. At least structurally. You know, people do renovations and stuff like that, so you do have to be aware of that. And there are things like asbestos we have to be concerned about. However, older homes have a lot less things like formaldehyde glue in them, and which is used in plywood and chipboard and things like that. And I've never been a fan of things like carpeting. It's just always kind of repulsed me. So most people don't seem to be very aware of this. And even if you think of things like roofing shingles, all of the chemicals in those shingles, to some extent, will be leaching out of the roof every time it rains and then going into the groundwater. Have you ever been to a landfill, or what we used to call a dump? It's incredible. They are vast, and they are many feet deep of all this waste that society has been producing for generations. And they go on and on. Like, imagine how much waste is produced in a place like Los Angeles or New York or Toronto. Where does it go? They just pile it in these massive repositories, and it just sits there, constantly expanding. And people think out of sight, out of mind. But this stuff doesn't actually go away, and it's in our environment. And it's full of toxic crap. This is all a product of our consumer-driven lifestyles. And I've talked about materialism a lot here on my channel. But this is the kind of thinking that we can just pile mountains of garbage somewhere slightly in the distance and pretend that it doesn't exist and that it won't affect our environment and then therefore us. This kind of thinking is bizarre and really weird and creepy as far as I'm concerned. All of that eventually is going to come back to haunt us. It's insane, in my opinion. Like I said, I think that this is going to be a very serious issue in the future, and maybe even not too distant future, based on the fact that this has been coming up to me intuitively a lot lately. And I want to just put it out there. I know a lot of other people who are kind of in the alternative health and spiritual community have similar inclinations, which are to basically stick to natural materials as much as possible. I've been like that since I was a young adult in terms of not liking things that are not natural. Natural would be like wood. Anyway, I want to put that out there and I want to put it on the record. I know a lot of people, like I said, already are inclined to be concerned about those kinds of things, but the full extent of it, like I said, all the chemicals that are used in construction do end up in the groundwater locally and make their way down into rivers and streams and lakes and ultimately the oceans. Like plastics are everywhere, and they have found trace chemicals even in the Arctic, all over the planet. And I think this is something we're going to have to address. And it could have very far reaching implications for manufacturing, construction, lifestyle, even our clothing. And of course, the food we produce and the air that we breathe. I think that in the future, we are going to be using a lot more organic or at least inert materials in everything from construction to fabrics to our food, packaging, and we will be concerned about environmental contamination on our properties and things like that. Economically, the implications are staggering at the very least, because we utilize a lot of highly manufactured and synthetic products. Anyway, like I said, I just wanted to put that out there to be on the record about this. Thanks for everything. I look forward to hearing from you, and I appreciate all of your support. Talk to you soon. Bye.